Hey everyone, it's Deneen and welcome to Story 5 of December Daily 2025. I'm in Photoshop Elements today looking at this wonderful paper, 8 by 11 and a quarter, the Be Merry paper, and I absolutely adore what Allie did with it this year, thinking about trying to find a way to fit it into my 4x6 album. What she did would really be tiny. And so I knew that I had to come up with something else. So I'm thinking about how I can get this down to a height of 6 1/4, which is the outside the page protector height in the 4x6 album. And I'm also thinking about how I might maybe do some sort of flip out or flip open or something like that, because I know that I may not be able to fit this on one page. I do also realize that I might have to get rid of the B part. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to kind of just work through that with you here today. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is create a new canvas. So we're going to go and do another new blank file here, and I have the preset here for outside of the page protector, 5 inches by 6 1/4 inches. So I'll go ahead and choose that, and then okay. And then if you zoom out, this is the size of the, again, outside of the page protector 4x6. So I'm thinking, I don't think that dragging this into here will work. Now, it would definitely work if this was a 6x4 album, which I'm truly hoping that Allie comes out with for next year. I think prior to me doing December Daily in 2019, Allie had an album that was the horizontal 4x6. And again, I love the 4x6 in this orientation, but I think it would be fun to have it in that one as well, just for different options, right? But anyway, so I think if I was able to kind of just drag this into there and then have, of course, I'm thinking out loud here, there's no reason why I can't have a page that is oriented the other way. There's no rule that says every page has to be in the portrait orientation. There's no reason why I can't do one page where the viewer has to turn the album sideways. So I'm kind of wondering what that would look like. So just out of curiosity, and that's not my intention for this page, but again, I'm experimenting and I just record my experimentation because sometimes I think that if I experiment a little bit, then perhaps as you're watching, you might say, oh, that gave me an idea, right? I have an idea now that I think would be, super awesome, and I wouldn't have thought of that otherwise. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this in there. And of course, it's going to land in there in the portrait orientation, or actually, I'm sorry, on the portrait orientation in a landscape. I'm just going to grab this and I'm just going to do an image, rotate, and I'm going to rotate the layer 90 degrees to the left. So that would be if I wanted to kind of just do a landscape orientation. And let's see what happens. And we are so close. We are. But here's the good thing about this. If you do want to do something like this, you need room for the holes. So you end up moving this down. Let's see. I know that I need a 1/2 inch for the holes usually. So you have 2 holes and they probably fall like right into here. In order to fill this part here, I can just use my color picker tool, choose that, then choose the background and then do edit, fill layer. Okay. And so now you have this in an orientation that is something that someone would have to turn to see it, but yet it would look good. It would look cute, right? Mix things up. I have something else in mind now, and I'm thinking that this might be something that I can do because I know there's also a paper that might say Jolly on it or Holly Jolly on it, and that is just something that I may not be able to work with in this orientation. I'm thinking that that might be this, making it the orientation that is essentially landscape, might work for that paper. Okay, so anyway, let's just go back and undo all of that because that's not where I'm headed with this. So, needed a canvas, and but what I do want to do though is I do want to fill the entire background with that color. It's not a white. If we go over here, this is not a white. It's like a very nice cream color, and so I know I could make it white, but I want to kind of stick with the motif here. So I know that I've already picked that up. It's already here on my color palette. And then I'm just going to go edit, fill layer, okay. And there you can see now how that wasn't, how this isn't white. So I'm going to do that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go back here, and I am going to use my magic eraser, and I'm going to have, and right now again these are my settings from whatever I was doing prior to this, but I am using this is the magic eraser tool, the background eraser that I use to take the background completely away, and that's what I'd like to do. So let's see if what I have here works. Okay, so that's good. So you have to be cautious of your check marks here and your tolerance, because sometimes it will take away everything around things, but it won't take away these little middles. So that's just an experimental thing. You could see here my tolerance is at 19. Top and bottom boxes are checked, middle box unchecked. And so that worked for that. I know that I'm not going to fit the B, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to just choose Mary. I'm going to choose all 4 Marys, and I'm going to just get them inside of my rectangular marquee, and then I will right-click, layer via cut. And if I were to hide the other part, I now have 4 Marys. 4 Marys. And I think I want those 4 Marys in here. So my best bet here is to make sure that layer is selected, and then do a layer, duplicate layer, and then choose that untitled one. And let's see how it looks when it falls in there. Whoa, it is large. That's okay. I anticipated that. Oh, and again, let's pull this over. I like to know in and around where my holes are going to be. So again, like I said, it's usually about 0.5 in and around there. And then I know whether or not I want anything, like if I want this to go over and have holes in it or not, right? If it goes over that line, I know there's a possibility that I'm going to punch a hole into one of them. And personal preference again, but I'm going to try to keep it on this side of the line. So I'm just going to do that. I'll zoom out a little bit here so I can get this bottom anchor. I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm just going to shrink this to see how I could fit Mary in there. Okay, so there is Mary. And we could put it in the middle like this. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that top and bottom. Well, you know what? I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and I will use the rectangular marquee tool again. But this time, I'm just going to choose 1 Mary. I'm going to see what it looks like with 5 Marys. So right-click, and this time layer via copy, because I want that original Mary to stay. Okay, 5 Marys fit, but I definitely don't want that to remain that color, so I need to change it. I always have something open from one of the kits that has a nice selection of colors from the kit in it. Sometimes that is even the kit preview. I might open that in my Photoshop Elements, and having that kit preview there lets me use my color picker tool in order to choose different colors. In this case, I think the scallop borders have a nice selection of the colors within the kit. And this way I can just kind of experiment and choose one. So we have a red, a green, a pink, and then this mustardy yellow. So I'm able to choose different ones. I could choose a different green if I want. I think I'm going to try for this really light blue. So with the color picker tool, I will click on the blue. You see that it becomes my foreground color. Going to go over here and then make sure that I have this Mary chosen. Wait, what did I do wrong? Did I do that wrong? Am I in the wrong? I'm in the wrong. Oh, silly me. Here I am. I'm in the wrong place. Sorry about that. Okay, so making sure I have this layer chosen, which I do, right? I'm going to go to Edit, Fill Layer, okay. So now I have 5 different colors. So what I think I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to do a story about me. And the first 2 letters in the word Mary is me. So what I think I want to do is print this out and then cut the paper down the middle. And when this part of the paper is taken away, I will put a photo of myself the same size as that on that page. And then I'm thinking that with the RRY, I would make it like flip open so that the RRY opens up and then shows a picture of me. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about where I would put my journaling because I love to journal and I love to write. And I do some stories that don't have a lot of journaling, obviously, but it's just my passion. So I really do try. And I'm thinking as I'm doing this that since it's the 5th story, maybe I'll do 5 things. And that is something that I thought about ahead of time. 5 things, I don't know, just 5 things about me or 5 things that I wrote in my Word document are just 5 things about the season, right? So let's click over here into Microsoft Word. You can see that I did my journaling already in Word and I used 1 and then some forward slashes. And then, you know, I'm embracing the festivities that come along with teaching at the high school. Christmas Spirit Week, holiday decorating, cookies baked by the Basic Living students. 2, me, I'm looking forward to an entire week of Ryan here at home and whatever fun that brings. 3, me, I'm planning and prepping for December Daily and enjoying the fact that I am not pressuring myself to keep up. 4, me, I'm enjoying the lights on the tree in the evening and being okay that it's another year without decorations. 5, me, I'm focusing on thinking positive and being thankful for all that I have instead of being sad about all that I've lost. I'm over here doing Mary one day at a time. So those are 5 thoughts, 5 things, and I just thought 5 would be good for this page. So I think I need to create a journaling box. So let's go over here. And okay, so let's begin by saying number 1, print this out. So I'll print that out, and then I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hide all of that because now I want to make some journaling and I want to make it about half the page. So I have to think about what's best here. So maybe I need to bring that back and do a little bit of creative measurement. Okay. Let's see. Let's drag another guide over here. Let's pretend I'm cutting this, right? Let's cut this. And let's say that I cut it like right here. So the paper is going to be physically cut right here. This will remain, and then this will be filled with the photo of me. So then whatever space I have left over here is going to be the size of, let's see, I'm just, again, measuring in my mind. Let's see, if I were to make this part a flip out, the inside of that flip out is going to be the size of this. Let's think about that a little bit. How big does my journaling need to be? So my journaling technically then, if both of these pages, all right, let's do my journaling this size because this is going to flip open and I'm thinking I'll do sort of like a double flip, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So my journaling is going to be in this particular size. So let's do that. And I guess copying my journaling first would be the best thing. So Command copy. That didn't work. Command copy. Still not working. Okay. That's fine. Let's just do this. Oh, because I didn't select it. Ugh, guys. Guys. I'm losing my mind. All right. Command copy. Sometimes I think to myself, how do I survive in today's world? Thank goodness the brain works when it really, really has to. Okay, so let's get a journaling block. Well, first of all, let's get rid of this color because I want my journaling block to be, my text to be black. And then let's pull up this. Again, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I do know that I need a journaling box. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to fill everything on the left side of my line. And then I'll just do a Command V and paste it in. So obviously you can see there I have some issues with filling the whole page. Perhaps I could put something down here at the bottom. I could increase the leading, which is the space between the lines. I can increase the font size. My tracking has my letters closer together, so I could actually pull them apart. There's a lot of things that I can do. I don't know though, would I want to put something down here or something up here? I have to think about that for a couple of minutes. Maybe something up at the top. And I don't know what yet, but there are plenty of die cuts from this year's kit and this year's release that I can put on the top. There's also plenty I could put at the bottom. But there's a part of me that's thinking I would prefer to have something at the top. So let's just put that in there and drag this down. Yeah, so whatever I fit up here, again, and if nothing fits up here, I am hybrid, so I could always resize some sort of die cut embellishment in Photoshop Elements, print it out and cut it out. So that's also an option as well. Okay, so I think that's all I want to do. You will see once I get to my desk and start working with this, what I have in mind here. You will see, and then you can decide whether or not that's something that you are interested in doing. But again, with having such a small amount of real estate, I'm anticipating that I will be doing a lot of folding and flipping things, and I also anticipate that I may end up going into 2 4x6 albums, which I am prepared for. But I do want to point out to you before I go ahead and print everything out, do want to point out to you that you don't have to be thick to do flip outs and fold outs. You could pick 3 or 4 of your favorite ideas, maybe from anyone, from me and anyone else that you see in the community. And you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to pick 3 or 4 of my favorite interactive things that might add some thickness to my album. And I'm just going to do 3 or 4. You don't have to be like me and just do every other spread as something interactive. I just enjoy doing it. And because I don't mind actually having 2 albums, I just really don't restrict myself in any way. But if you're someone, if you are definitely diehard on keeping 1 album, pick out a couple of your favorite thicker spreads and just go with that to add a little bit of creativity and some spice into your album. And this could be one of them. Again, whether you're working in a 4x6 or whether you're working in a 6x8 or the 10x8, these ideas, because like Ali says, we are translators of ideas, these ideas can be changed to fit your needs. Alrighty, so I'm going to print these 2 things out. So one, I will print this like this, right? This is one thing that I will print. Then I will hide that, and I will bring these 2 back, and then I will print this like this. And then always for safekeeping, I will leave this here on my screen until I'm sure that after I've cut everything out, it's going to work. Because if I have to do modifications, I'm not going to have to start from scratch again, which is always something that is a bonus when it comes to time and using your time wisely. Okay, let me go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back at my desk. Okay, so I'm back here at my desk, and I have the pieces that I printed out. My 5x6 1/4 Mary, 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 with a little bit of space for some holes on the side. You can see that it fits without having to cut into any of the M's. And then I have the page with my journaling on the left side. I did turn the numbers red because I wanted them to stand out a little bit. So that was the only change that I made before I printed. I'm going to go ahead and use a photo of myself here. It's cut a little bit larger than I anticipated just because it's easier to cut it down than to have to reprint. So I'm going to just punch my holes. I usually do that with a pencil and then my We Are Memory Keepers punch, and making sure these two pages line up. I actually cut them out on top of each other. So now I'm going to cut the ME from the RRY, and that is going to create the side, then my photo, and then the journaling, and it's going to be like a flip, so that will kind of fit into my album nicely. This needs to be trimmed a bit. Just using my ruler, I'll kind of make sure that it's 5 inches wide. I have to cover a little bit of the photo, which is fine because that's how they're going to adhere together, is by using some rolling adhesive and just putting that on the back side of the MEs. And again, keeping with the 5-inch mark, making sure the Mary fits over my picture and lining it up the best that I can. I probably could have used a right angle ruler here, but I just kind of went with just eyeballing it. Now, this is how it's going to look when it's opened up. So I'm marking here for a score mark, and I made an error in my judgment when it came to putting the score mark in, and that's okay because I go ahead and I fix it. There's always a way to fix things, and remember, when you're doing hybrid, if things don't work out, you could always just reprint. So these two are going to go together with some tape. I usually use art tape or washi tape. Putting these together, I like to keep them close, but not too close because then it won't fold. Score it nicely. And you can see there that I have just a little bit of a problem with my, again, measuring, like I said, but it's not the biggest deal. I realize that I need to kind of rescore and then put the RRY on top. So again, just be careful with your measurements if you're going to try this. There's really nothing I can tell you about measurements because it's just going to depend on where you place your letters if you do print out the Mary page. To cover that score, I used some of the washi tape from this year's collection, which actually ended up being kind of fun. So I was super excited about that. Here I have a little bit of a mark and I start erasing. And of course, as I'm erasing, I'm making it worse. So you'll see in the end, I go ahead and replace that part of the page. No big deal. I could have let it go. I tried to hide it with, with different things. You'll see a little bit up ahead. But once you put on the RRY, then it's just a matter of doing some embellishing. And I am thinking I wanted to use one of the tag shapes, but it was too big. Then I realized we had some plastic ones that were smaller, and that was perfect. And I just used some stays on ink. I pulled out the Merry Christmas, no, not the Merry Christmas. I pulled out, was it the Merry Christmas? Let me look here. Where was the stamp set that I used? The Christmas Story 6x8 stamp set. And that had a lot of big things with Allie's handwriting and then some smaller phrases. The one I chose says, just over here, making my own kind of Mary. So that kind of fit with my theme. Removing some adhesive, some extra stuff that was hanging off the edge here. And then I will cut off the remainder of the plastic label, and I will end up stapling that if I haven't already. Looking for a tab. Again, I'm trying to cover that little mark that I made there, and then I kind of pivot and I pull out the December Scrapbook by the Month kit for embellishing. And these wonderful hand-drawn asterisks were just a little bit too large for me. So I really thought I was going to use those, and now it's a matter of like, what else am I going to put there? And these little pieces that match with the tag shape, again, still too large. I'm working in a 4x6, so you have to just be careful. I considered punching out a half circle there at the bottom to cover that mark. Didn't want to do that. I thought I'd put the 5 on the side. I didn't want to do that. So again, like I mentioned, it turns out that I just reprint the RRY. Actually, the whole Mary page I print again, cut off the RRY, and then replace it. With the adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives or scrapbook.com, it's very easy to pull things apart before the glue kind of commits itself. So I decide on the 5, the chipboard 5, and I'm going to use that. And then I pull out the Oh What Fun 4x6 stamp set. And that is the one that kind of goes with the Paisley Press. And I pull out a couple different sentiments. I end up using the one that says, I think it says cheery and festive. And I just stamp that in 3 different places on my outside Mary page. And just for a little bit of embellishing, right? And then I pull out my puffy stars. Stars and hearts, these little ones are my favorite. I would love to have just millions of sheets of them in all the different colors. But I put a star there on top of each one of those sayings. And then the 5 I like on that top there. So although it's not a pull tab, it kind of, it shows when it's closed and it shows when it's opened. So this is how it looks in my album. Again, like I said, I reprinted that top. No big deal. Just reprinted, restamped, moved the stars. But I did put a tab sticker, which is not really a sticker. They're tabs that I create for myself, and then I use adhesive. But I put that so that the viewer knows that they are going to open that. And so when you do go ahead and pull on that blue tab, that is when we show the story. So inside you can see the photo of me and my plastic tag with my stamping and then my journaling. So again, all I can say is there's no need for a template for something like this, but definitely when you're cutting and scoring, just be careful of the measurements, line things up. Sometimes I get in a hurry and I get excited and I just kind of run with things. Now, not the biggest deal because I seriously like that piece of washi tape there. So again, maybe things happen for a reason, right? Okay, thank you guys so much for following along with me for Story 5 in December Daily 2025. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.